Part 4 of Clementine. Dad, I yelled, what if the pigeons lived on the side of the building instead of the front? Would that be okay? That would be great, my dad said. A miracle. Except, of course, first you'd have to convince a million pigeons to move. But if I could, would that solve the problem? You wouldn't care if they messed up all over the sidewalk and the side alley? Nope, not a bit. Nobody uses it. That alley could be knee deep in pigeon splat, and nobody would even notice. Fire away, I'd say. Then I ran all the way back up the stairs to Mrs. Jacoby's apartment. Went right inside since the door was still open, because that's how fast I was. See, here's what she was doing with the Cheerios. I'll run for your Cheerios every week, I told her. You won't even have to ask me. Every day if you want. But will you please stop feeding the pigeons from here? Will you feed them from a side window instead? I took her into the dining room and showed her a perfect place. Let's start today, I said, and I sprinkled out the rest of the box of Cheerios. And even though the pigeons have teeny tiny bird brains, they got the message pretty quick because right away a big flock of them flapped over. And it was even better for Mrs. Jacoby because this was her dining room. So now she could see those pigeons eating while she was eating. And then I was all done being there. So I ran back home to tell my dad the good news. He and my mom were in the kitchen starting dinner. So I told them, and I told them, and I told them. My dad kept saying, way to go, sport. And my mom kept saying, thank goodness. Now you don't have to spend your life cleaning up after those pigeons. They were so happy. My parents were sneaky too. Somehow, while I was telling them about Mrs. Jacoby, one of them had slipped me a colander of green beans and brainwashed me into snapping them. I really didn't care, though. Seeing the word, wow, I must be dreaming faces, seeing the look, wow, I must be dreaming faces on my parents was even better than if I'd been seeing them on the painters. Unfortunately, they didn't have those faces very long. After dinner, my mother said she'd better get a little work done. Then she went to the cupboard to get her special markers, which were still in Margaret's room. You used my, not the permanent. Those are for, what were you? It's a very bad sign when my mother can't finish her sentences. They're at Margaret's, I told her. They're fine, not even chewed on. I'll go get them. Oh, no, said my father. We'll go get them. It's about time we had a talk with Margaret's mother anyway. You'll go sit in your room and think about things. So I went to my room and thought about things. Like Margaret's mother explained to my parents about the easy one, hard one rule. Chapter 9. I cannot look at your green head for one more day, my mom said as soon as I woke up on Sunday morning. So right after breakfast, she took me into the kitchen and started scrubbing my head with a scouring powder and saying things I've never heard a TV mother say. She scrubbed so hard she probably made a hole right through my head skin and my head bone, and now everybody can see right into my brains, and I'd better not do any more cartwheels. All the time, I watched out the kitchen window for Margaret's feet. Margaret's brother is not my special friend. I told my mom this is the case, just in case she was watching out for Mitchell's feet, which I was not, because he's not my special friend. My mother kept on scrubbing, and all she said was, that's nice, which is what grown-ups say when they're not paying attention to you. Suddenly, with my amazing corner eyes, I saw what my dad was reading to my brother in the living room. Stop, I yelled. Then I flew over and jumped onto his lap and slammed the book shut just in time. Lima Bean is little, Dad, I reminded him. He gets scared of those shoes. First of all, your brother's name is not Lima Bean, my dad said. And second of all, what shoes, Clementine? I told you he was not good at paying attention. Those shoes are pretty hard to miss. The pointy ones on the bear, I whispered. Page 14. Which I know, because, okay, fine, I look at that page a lot. Some days I like to scare myself. Today was not one of the days, though. It's just a picture sport, said Dad. It's not real. Do you want to try looking at it with me right here? No, I yelled. And then I was mad, because now those pointy shoes were stuck in my head, going to worry me all day. I jumped off my dad's lap, ran back into the kitchen, because I have discovered that lots of foods are round. Cookies, hamburgers, pizza, donuts, Cupcakes, apples, you name it, all the good stuff is round. I grabbed 2 slices of bologna and I bit into them, making them into a pair of glasses, which is a trick I invented and only I know, and well, now you will too. Fold a slice of bologna in half, then bite right in the middle of the flat side. Do it again, then slap the bologna circles over your eyes, and you have bologna glasses. Here's a picture of that. And then, because I'm so good of a sister, and okay, fine, well, because I was still hungry, I made a pair for my brother too. Here, Peapod, I said, climbing onto my dad's lap and slapping my brother's pair onto his eyes. Put on your glasses. My brother started laughing so hard he spit up his breakfast waffles. And my parents said, Clementine, please, at the exact same time, which I think they practice at night when I am asleep. But they were laughing too. And suddenly it was a pretty good day in spite of the hole scrubbed into my head. The good day for all the bad day feelings I'd had this week. And that made me think about Margaret. And then the best idea of all sprang into my head. Because I am so good at paying attention. I know all the things that Margaret likes. So I ran around my apartment gathering them up. Polka dotty snake collar, because Margaret loved my old cat. Pepperoni, because that's the only kind of pizza I've ever seen her eat. The red shoes Margaret makes me put on Barbie every time we play. A blue jay feather for my collection, because her favorite color is blue. And some M&Ms, because she had breathed on mine. My charm bracelet, because she always makes I wish eyes at it. Lace ripped from socks, because I borrowed them from Margaret one time and I forgot to tell her. Pink sparkle nail polish, because she tried to borrow it from me, but I caught her. A dead bumblebee, I don't know why. The rest of my red curly hair I cut off, because that's how I got into all this trouble in the first place. Then I got my mother's favorite hat, a big bottle of glue, and my dad's aftershave, which Margaret and I love to squirt all over us because it has such a heavenly aroma. I glued and I glued and I glued, and I squirted and I squirted and I squirted, and I smiled. And then I ran out, and guess who I met in the elevator? Margaret without Amanda Lee. Margaret without Amanda Lee. I have something for you, we both said at the exact same time, which we never practiced before. Then I handed her the Margaret hat, and she handed me a bag. Inside was a brand new, not set on, sparkle glitter paint set. I got it at the mall, Margaret said. Then, without even a grown-up telling her to, she told me she was sorry she was mean to me at my birthday party. I'm sorry about your hair, I said. Okay, fine, we both said. And it was, for about 1 minute. I have to go, Margaret said. I'll see you tonight. Yep, see you tonight. Then I said, what's tonight? The party. Your parents invited us. Oh, right, I said. I knew that. But I didn't. Uh-oh. If my parents were having a party, and I didn't know about it, that meant it was a surprise party. Surprise parties are either for birthdays or going aways. It wasn't my birthday anymore. Chapter 10. I raced back to my apartment. My parents were in their bedroom. That's right, a chocolate cake with vanilla frosting, my mom was saying to someone on the phone. Goodbye and good riddance should be written in red icing. Make sure they spell her name right, I heard my dad say. Then my mom spelled Clementine and said she'd be over to pick it up soon. There wasn't much time. Well, I guess I'll go clean my room, I said, extra loud as I walked through the living room. I tried to make it sound as if these words were used to coming out of my mouth. Yep, I'll just be cleaning like crazy this afternoon. My dad came out and squinted at me, and then sat down to read his Boston Globe. My mother just glanced at me as she passed by to help my brother with his puzzle. Maybe when I'm done, I'll clean Radish's room too, I tried, and then I'll do my homework. If you need me to help with anything or solve any more problems like the Great Pigeon War, just come and get me. Okay, Clementine, my parents said. They didn't even look up this time. So it was probably too late. Just in case it wasn't, I got the spray bottle of cleaner and some paper towels, Because though I've actually never cleaned my room, I know that's the first step. Except I didn't know what to do next. I wanted my room to look like Margaret's, like a magazine picture, but I didn't know how to do it. The problem was, everything already looked great to me. Luckily, I knew what my parents would like me to clean. I dragged out everything from the black hole and piled it on top of my bed, and you would not believe how much stuff came out. 4 shoes, 3 brushes, and too many hair clips to count. Socks, a really crunchy Easter peep, and the top hat that had been missing from the Monopoly game for 2 years. A Mr. Potato Head nose, 3 library books, a book report due last Monday, and Friday's Saturn census. Some more socks, a Halloween mask. Oh, look at this pile. I pretended I lost 2 flashlights, a mitten, a green plastic trapezoid, a taking it easy in the Everglades snow globe, half a button, Polka Dotty's favorite rubber mouse, Mom's yoga video, and dental nose pliers. 45 cents, even more socks. I got all the things piled up on my bed, and even though they looked fine to me, I started to clean them. I squirted everything with lots of cleaner and rubbed hard with paper towels. I squirted and I rubbed all afternoon. It started to get dark outside, but nothing got cleaner. Everything just got wetter and covered with lumps of wet paper towel. Suddenly my eyes were crying, and they wouldn't stop. And that's when my parents came in. I just got some cleaner in my eyes, is all, I told them. I'm doing a really great cleaning up of my room. But even I didn't believe that. Okay, fine, I said, wiping my tears so they could see how mad they were at me, so I could see how mad they were at me. I'm SORRY. Sorry, and I won't be like this anymore. Like what, Clementine? My mom asked. What are you talking about? Like whatever you don't want, I said. I won't talk so much, and I'll clean up my room for real, and I won't think about the consequences before I do stuff, and I won't do stuff anyway, and I will never lose my homework because I will never lose anything, and I will sit so still. You will think, hey, is that Clementine or a statue of Clementine? And I will never bring another note home that says Clementine had a difficult day at school today. And I will bring home hundreds of notes that say, wow, Clementine certainly pays attention at school. And the underneath of my bed will look like the underneath of normal people's beds, and my hands will always be where they belong, and I will take piano lessons again, but this time I will sit on the bench the whole time, and then I ran out of air. I took a big gulp, and I won't be like me anymore, and then I'll be the easy one, too, as easy as celery. So you don't have to get rid of me, which I know about, because I heard you say one's all we need. And then I heard you order a cake that says goodbye and good riddance, Clementine. My parents both ran over to me, hugged me at the same time. A hug sandwich. Then they took my hands and brought me out to the dining room. And there was Margaret and her mother. And Mitchell with my brother on his shoulders, all looking at me. I scrubbed my face to make sure there weren't any tears left, even though I did not care what Mitchell thought, because he's not my boyfriend. My brother yelled, "Prize!" And everybody else yelled, "Surprise!" Then they stepped out of the way so I could see the dining room table. And on the cake, all right, but it didn't say goodbye and good riddance, Clementine. It said goodbye and good riddance above 1,000 frosting pigeons. And then under it, it said, thank you, Clementine, hero of the Great Pigeon War. Oh, well, what was that all's one we need? One's all we need, I asked. What about that? My mom and dad smiled, really, really big then. Wait here, sport, Dad said. He went into the hall and came back with a big box. Open it up. Let me show you the cake first. We'll find out what's in the box. Open it up. So I did. And do you know what was in there? A kitten. And I'm not kidding you. There was only one left, Dad said, and we told him one's all we need. I lifted the kitten out of the box and took him into the bathroom to get him a name. Right away, I found the most exquisite word. I held him up to my cheek and told him his name, and he started to purr, which filled up a space in my ears that had been empty since Polka died. When I came back out, I saw Margaret wanting to touch my kitten. And I saw ears that had been empty since Polka died. When I came back out, I saw Margaret wanting to touch my kitten. And I saw her tell her hands to be quiet about that, because he was mine and he was new. I wanted to say the rule is no touching my kitten, because it's the rule. But I didn't. Instead, my mouth opened up and said, "Want to pat moisturizer, Margaret?" Which was a very big surprise, let me tell you. "We know it's not the same as having Polka Dotty back," my mom started. "He's different," Dad said. "I know," I told him. "He's perfect." I looked up and saw that everything else was perfect too. My mother in her overalls, my comedian father, my brother who didn't get stuck with a fruit name, Margaret in her Margaret hat, Mitchell slicing the Clementine the hero cake, my knots from a magazine apartment. So, Margaret's mother came over and said, "Tomorrow after school, I'm taking both of you girls to the hairdresser to fix those haircuts." I almost said no thanks, because I didn't want to change a single thing. But she was smiling at me, and that looked perfect too. So I smiled back and said, "Great." Then I passed out the cake, and I was extremely polite because I served everyone else a slice first. And then, at the very end, I took one. Two. Okay, fine.